Hello guys, this is Carlos Bedoya here, and today we're going to be talking about one of the secrets that improved my playing the most, and that is planting and preparation. One of the first things we need to differentiate is that planting is the action of placing your finger on the string before you pluck, and whereas preparation means that your finger is ready to play, and that preparation can either mean that the finger is planted or not planted. So what do I mean by that? So right here you can see that my fingers are on strings 3, 2, and 1. Now when I say that my fingers are planted, that means that I'm literally in contact with the strings. Now when it comes to preparation, that can mean that I am on the string, which means that I'm prepared and planted, but it could also mean that I am only prepared and not touching the string. So at this moment, I just made a little movement where I am no longer touching the string. I can say that I am prepared because my finger is on the playing side of the string. What do I mean by this? If my ring finger needs to play the first string, I can say that my finger is prepared if my ring finger is underneath the first string so that I can pluck. If my ring finger were to be, let's say right here, which is in between the second and the first string, I cannot say I am prepared, because in order to pluck, I will need to extend my finger a little bit, then pluck. So it's an equivalent of two movements. Whereas if my finger is right here underneath it, I can say I'm prepared because the motion is only one in order to play. Now, diving a little bit more deeply into the concept of planting, I can say that as far as I know, the term was first introduced by Scott Tennant. I'm trying to do more research about it to see if it was coined before him. And the actual concept, I think, has been used for many, many years. It hasn't been until recent years that modern technique has made it a little bit more important in pedagogy. There are three main types of planting: full planting, partial planting, and sequential planting. Now, full planting means that our four playing fingers are resting or in contact with the string that they're about to pluck, all four at the same time. That can mean, for instance, that my thumb is on the fourth string, my index on the third, my middle on the second, and my ring finger on the first. Again, it means that they're all four are in contact with the string. So I can say that they're both fully planted and prepared. We can divide this into two categories. The first category will be staccato playing, where the thumb, immediately as it plays, it returns to the fourth string, index onto the third, and so on. This is great because it's teaching the finger to go to the same preparation spot, which is going to increase our accuracy. And it's also training what I call the reflex of relaxation, meaning that once I pluck, my finger returns like a rubber band to its prepared position. And it's teaching my hand how to return in a relaxed manner. Now, the second category would be what the pedagogue Thomas Offerman calls as relay, which means that one finger is always in the air. So it could mean that once I pluck with the thumb, my thumb is in the air. Then as I pluck with I, the thumb returns. And as I pluck with M, my index finger returns, and so on. And then as I pluck with the thumb, I rest my ring finger, and so on. The second type of planting is partial planting. Partial planting means that there are either 2 or 3 fingers planted at any given time. So not 1 or 4. If we have 4 fingers prepared, if you have 4 fingers planted, that means that that's full planting. If we only have 1, that's the next type of planting that I'm going to mention. So if we have 2 or 3 fingers planted, that is partial planting. So we can see that, for instance, in situations where like we're only planting the index, middle, and ring. And then immediately, for instance, after I pluck with A, I plant P, I, and M. So this is very specific to a lot of pieces where like we might be on the move with one finger and we need to be planting other fingers in order to give the hand or the arm more balance. And the last type of planting is sequential planting. Sequential planting means finger by finger, so only one finger at a time. So for instance, if we're thinking of that same arpeggio, That means that at any given moment, I only have one finger on the strings. I like to think of it kind of like one foot on the floor at a time. So as I pluck with I, my index finger prepares. As I pluck with the index, my middle finger prepares. And as I pluck with the middle finger, my ring finger prepares, and so on. As I pluck with A, my thumb prepares. Now, if we want to be a little bit more specific, we could also divide this into two categories. We could divide it into synchronous sequential planting, where the movement of preparation and planting happens simultaneously as I pluck. So for instance, if I'm about to pluck with the thumb, I would immediately prepare with I at the same time. And then as I pluck with I, at the same time I prepare M, and then at the same time I prepare A. So that happens simultaneously. That's why it's called synchronous. And the other category could be called asynchronous, which there's a small place in between each of the plucks. So for instance, I could do in a thumb and then prepare and then I, pluck, then prepare M, pluck, then prepare A, pluck, then prepare thumb. So what are the main differences? If you want to sound more legato, this will be more advised, depending on how much resonance you want to obtain from the instrument. However, that little moment where you're not in contact with the string might increase your chances of being inaccurate. So it's kind of like a give and take in terms of advantages or disadvantages. So in your own repertoire, you might want to find when one may be more appropriate than the other. If you want to go even deeper, you can do what I call kind of like advanced sequential planting, where you prepare two fingers in advance. So let's take the same arpeggio. So you could take sequentially, after you play with the thumb, you're going to prepare index and middle. So it's kind of like a partial. Then as I play with the index, since my middle finger is already prepared, then I will prepare a ring finger. And then as I pluck with M, since my A finger is already prepared, I would plant the thumb, and so on. So it's kind of like planting two fingers ahead. Planting and preparation are methods of study that sometimes do not necessarily translate well into performance. So it is important to keep in mind that this is important to study, but at the end of the day, when it comes to performing, you have to allow your fingers to behave in the best way you think they're going to allow you to express the musical idea. So at the end of the day, use it as a study mechanism, but make decisions that are going to ensure that your music is speaking very freely and accurately according to your wishes. Keeping that in mind, I do have to recognize that in my own playing, I have seen a lot of improvement in several areas since I started using planting and preparation. One of them is an increased sense of security and balance. Security because my fingers are in constant contact with the strings, so I'm not jumping around. And balance because that point of contact with the string, together with my arm, it feels like, you know, my arm and my hand are in the right place. Also, since then, I have seen an increased amount of accuracy in my playing. Since, you know, I'm already in contact with the string, there are no chances I'm going to miss the string. Maybe if I miss it, it will be because of a left hand inaccuracy. But just the fact that the fingers are already on the string decreases significantly the opportunities of being inaccurate. Another big benefit has been an improvement of sound and control over what I want to sound like. So articulation, dynamics. Since I am already in contact with the string, I can basically decide what I want to do with it. And that touch, that sense of being in contact with the string allows me to basically build muscle memory about how to play loud, how to play soft, how do I produce a sweet sound, how do I produce a harsh sound, etc., etc. So my sound has improved a lot because of it. And lastly, also my speed, because I'm not jumping so much, my hand is not so unstable anymore. It is a little bit unstable, but it has improved a lot. But because it is a little bit more stable, my speed has improved drastically. And lastly, since I started using planting and preparation, of course my arpeggios, my scales have improved a lot, but also my sense of relaxation, even though that might be counterproductive if you think about it, because I'm constantly kind of like engaging the strings. My sense of relaxation has improved because just simply going back to the string is training, remember what I mentioned, the reflex of relaxation, making my hand return to the playing position so that it feels relaxed and I am not consciously engaging my extensor muscles to return the fingers to their playing position. So in that regard, I feel like my reflexes have improved, and also I feel more relaxed because the fact that I'm not moving so much right here allows my hand to find the strings more easily, and that way that feeling of being lost doesn't happen too often, and as a result my hand feels more relaxed. So this was my conversation about planting and preparation. Remember that planting means that you're in contact with the string. Preparation means that you are ready to play on the playing side of the string. And preparation can be either planted or not planted. I would recommend that you use this in every aspect of your playing, scales, arpeggios, and any type of repertoire. And then eventually, like I mentioned earlier, you will decide whether or not it's becoming advantageous to you and to the musical idea that you're trying to portray. Please be on the lookout for the next couple of videos. For instance, one of the next ones is going to be how to apply planting and preparation into repertoire, into exercises. So be on the lookout for that. On the description, I would include my social media pages, my Instagram, my Facebook. I also have a Facebook group where I'm posting more pedagogical information. And in general, if you have any comments or suggestions about more content, you can leave it in the comment section below. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.